Welcome to NSK TV. This is Thea, my little sister. Say hello, Thea.
Hello.
Today we're going to be reading Little Miss Sunshine. Little Miss Sunshine keeps her smile. Little Miss Sunshine and Mr. Grumpy couldn't be more different. And Mr. Grumpy succeeded in changing Little Miss Sunshine. What do you think, Thea? I think no.
I think no.
Little Miss Sunshine lives in Ryshine Cottage on the bank of a river. That's Ryshine Cottage there. And Little Miss Sunshine, as her name suggests, a very happy person. The sort of person who never gets in a bad mood. The sort of person who exacts opposite of somebody else who appears in this story. That somebody is Mr. Grumpy. Mr. Grumpy, as his name suggests, is the grumpiest person in the world. So yeah, that's Mr. Grumpy.
Yeah.
The sort of person who is always in a bad mood. Everything annoys him. Flowers growing in his garden, sunny days and rainy days. But the thing that puts Mr. Grumpy in the worst possible mood is seeing other people being happy. One morning, Mr. Grumpy met Little Miss Sunshine. "Good morning, Mr. Grumpy," said Little Miss Sunshine cheerfully. "That's nothing good about it," snapped Mr. Grumpy. Huffed Mr. Grumpy after Little Miss Sunshine had left. That Little Miss Sunshine is always abominably happy. Just for once, I'd like to see her in a bad mood. It was on his way home that Mr. Grumpy thought of a plan to upset Little Miss Sunshine. He raced home and made a list of all the things that were granted to upset him. See, that's the list. That's Mr. Grumpy reading and writing the list down. He raced home and made a list full of things that were It was a very long list. Now there must be something here that will upset Little Miss Sunshine in a bad mood, he said to himself. Mr. Grumpy was not a very nice man. Do you think he was nasty, dear?
Yeah.
I do. The first thing Mr. Grumpy had written on his list, it was waiting for buses. So the next day, Mr. Grumpy opened the gate to let all the farmer field sheep out into the lane. That's very naughty, isn't it, dear?
Yeah.
And the bus was delayed for hours and hours while the sheep were rounded up. Mr. Grumpy round the bus stop. Tee-hee, he chuckled nastily. I can't wait to see how upset Little Miss Sunshine is. But Little Miss Sunshine was not upset. In fact, she wasn't not at the bus stop at all. It was such a nice day. She had decided to walk into town. Bother, said Mr. Grumpy. The next day, Mr. Grumpy looked at the second thing on his list, losing her read out loud. So that evening he invited Little Miss Sunshine round to his house to play cards, he cheated. But Little Miss Sunshine, being the happy-go-lucky person she did not mind losing. That's her losing, but she's happy that but she doesn't mind losing.
Yeah.
Playing cards. Mr. Grumpy won every game they played. Oh well, played Mr. Grumpy. Mr. Grumpy, she said at the end of the evening. Bother. Mr. Grumpy, after she had left. Mr. Grumpy reads his list again. The number 3 said, getting caught in the rain. Mr. Grumpy filled up his watering can, and using his ladder climbed up just outside Little Miss Sunshine's house. And there he waited until Little Miss Sunshine came out for her walk. But Little Miss Sunshine saw the ladder. What a silly place to leave the ladder, said Little Miss Sunshine to herself, and walked round the other side of the tree, put the ladder away. She took Mr. Grumpy's ladder, so he can't get down now.
Yeah.
Bother, muttered Mr. Grumpy, who ended up stuck in the tree all night. Well, nearly all night. Just before sunrise fell, he fell asleep and fell out of the tree. He'd got to have hurt himself. There he is in the tree in the dark. The fourth thing on Mr. Grumpy's list was cues. Mr. Grumpy waited until Little Miss Sunshine went shopping. Then he rushed ahead off her to the grocer's when he started an argument with Pod about the quality of peas. As he argued, a queue began to grow behind him, and when he glanced back, he saw Little Miss Sunshine standing at the end of the queue. He smiled to himself and carried on arguing until he felt sure she must be fed up of waiting. But when he turned around, the queue had disappeared. When he went outside, he found everyone in the queue happily chatting with Little Miss Sunshine. Double bother, he said. Mr. Grumpy was furious. But then he met Mr. Nosy and had another thoroughly nasty idea. Do you know, said Mr. Grumpy, what Little Miss Sunshine calls Little Miss Bossy behind her back? She calls her knobbly knees. Mr. Grumpy, thoroughly nasty idea. What was to start a rumour that would get Little Miss Sunshine into trouble? The rumour spread. Mr. Nosy told Little Miss Star, who told Mr. Uppity, who told Little Miss Splendid, who told Mr. Muddle, who told Miss Bossy, and little Miss Sunshine said that Mr. Grumpy calls you Nobblinies, said Mr. Muddle. Did he now? Said little Miss Bossy. Miss Bossy grimly marched straight round to Mr. Grumpy's house and punched him in the nose, and was very sorry, looking Mr. Grumpy, that little Miss Sunshine met outside her house the next day. Little Miss Sunshine invited him for breakfast to cheer him up, and cooked fried eggs, sunny side, of course. And did she manage to cheer Mr. Grumpy up? Of course not. No more than Mr. Grumpy could upset little Miss Sunshine. I hope you enjoyed this story. Subscribe to this channel. Bye.